Is weird, odd, strange, or just plain bizarre is really your cup of tea? Then the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast will give you that fix. Can't believe it? Well, listen for yourself as we deliver the strangest news you definitely won't find on CNN or Fox. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast.
Welcome. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Weird News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Network. I'm your host, Emily Ferrier, here to bring you my favorite weird news stories from the past few days. So starting us off this week, licking open containers of Bluebell ice cream and sticking them back in the freezer shelves was a fleeting fad in the summer of 2019 that delighted viral fame chasers and enraged law enforcement. Now, one of the lickers who got caught will serve jail time and pay over $2,000 in fines and restitution. Dadrian Laquan Anderson of Port Arthur, Texas, pled guilty to a criminal mischief and was sentenced to 30 days in jail for licking a half-gallon of vanilla Bluebell ice cream. He'll also pay $1,000 of restitution of $1,565 to Bluebell Creameries, the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office said in a statement. Anderson filmed himself licking the ice cream in August, more than 1 month after the clip of a juvenile doing the same thing, racked up millions of views. Why that's an intriguing thing to watch, we can't really report on, because we have no idea. The 24-year-old told CNN affiliate that he did it just to go viral, but the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office said the act was much more than a stunt. He's just a copycat, District Attorney Bob Wortham told the same affiliate. And the way to stop copycats is to enforce it very strongly. Anderson later claimed he bought the ice cream after licking it and putting it in the freezer, but the court said the act was costly to the creamery, which replaced its inventory after spotting the video. Bluebell said it was pleased to see this matter had been resolved in a statement to CNN. After the first viral incident in June, the Texas Creamery condemned the act and said it had removed all half gallons of the ice cream flavor seen licked in the video. Food tampering is not a joke. We will not tolerate tampering with our products, the company said. Teenager believed to have kicked off the trend was not charged as an adult for licking the dessert, but the 36-year-old Louisiana man was arrested in July for doing the same thing. Police investigating the incident said they believed he'd wanted to create some notoriety for himself by posting the footage on Facebook. So the trend is that people go into grocery stores, open a container of ice cream at random, lick the top, put it back in the freezer, and then just walk away. And then, of course, film it, put the whole thing on social media. This is a hashtag ice cream challenge. Just one of the many social media trends that I'll never understand. Kind of like the cinnamon challenge. So what's going on in the minds of people that do these things? It's what impulsive teens and young adults do to get attention in the social media era, according to experts. It's just a plain old version of antisocial behavior, says Susan Whitburn, professor Amaretta at the Psychological and Brain Sciences Department at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. It's an antisocial act, and it's outside the bounds of proper social behavior. Ironic that it's being posted on social media. The most well-publicized version of the ice cream challenge happened in Walmart in Lufkin, Texas, when a young woman seen in a Twitter video that's been viewed more than 11 million times licked a half-gallon of Bluebell tin roof ice cream before putting it back in the freezer. Police later identified the suspect and her boyfriend, but said they won't release names because she's a juvenile. We do not intend to pursue charges against her as an adult. Therefore, what happened here is just a discretion of the juvenile justice system, the police said in a statement. Then there's the case of the 36-year-old man arrested in Louisiana after he was allegedly recorded putting a carton of Bluebell ice cream, pulling it from the freezer, opening it, licking it, poking it with his finger, and putting it back on the shelf. Police say they found evidence that Linus Martin III posted on Facebook, suggesting that he was seeking attention for the alleged misdeed. Ice cream isn't the only thing that people are finding to lick. A new version of the licking challenge recently happened when a video appeared on social media of a girl grabbing a tongue depressor from a dentist's office in Jacksonville, Florida, licked it, and then put it back in the jar. Her mother admitted recording the video and posting it on Snapchat. She was charged with a felony, tampering with a consumer product. She faces 30 years in prison if convicted. I've just been waiting a long time. I was being silly with my kids. It's ruined my life now. That's how I feel, at least. So why do they do it? One expert explained it's just a high-tech version of teens showing off to their friends. Generally speaking, adolescents are more reckless and more sensitive to social evaluation than children or adults. They seem to achieve both. These acts seem to achieve both. Our research has shown that teenagers are more likely to take risks when they're being viewed or believe they're being viewed by the same age individuals. Ariana Grande apologized for her video after licking a donut. She got into hot water in 2015 when videos surfaced of her appearing to lick donuts at a shop south of Los Angeles and then saying that she hated America. Grande apologized. So she was way beyond the trends, 2015. This sort of antisocial behavior happens frequently with people younger than 30, and throwing it on social media makes everything worse. Added to this rebellious component of behavior, the anonymity provided by social media and the inhibition. Oh my gosh. Whatever. Once posted, these displays will generate a certain amount of social reinforcement, and so the behavior spreads. She compared it with kids going around the neighborhood knocking over garbage cans, but the difference with the licking challenge and other social media challenges is the attention factor. Teens really crave that attention online. For many, Facebook is an extension of an offline social interaction. Likes specifically seem to be a strong proxy for social status, such that teen Facebook users will try to upload photos of themselves and garner the maximum likes and then remove photos with fewer likes. Oh, that's so sad. They're calling for parents to step in. I'd ask them, how would you feel if you bought some ice cream and discovered that it had been licked? Probably grossed out, like the rest of us are now. So guys, don't lick public things that are up for public purchase. It's disgusting. When we come back, a misuse of weapons. When we return from the break.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about some people licking ice creams that are still available for purchase, so that's gross. And now, on Thursday night, a man in upstate New York was reaching into his pocket to pay his dinner bill, but instead of pulling out his wallet, he accidentally shot his girlfriend in the leg. According to Cheektowaga police, 19-year-old Anthony Ciccarelli unintentionally fired his pistol while dining at the Texas de Brazil in New York with a gunshot grazing his girlfriend's leg. Afterwards, the couple left the restaurant to get medical assistance. That's good, at least. The couple left the restaurant in an attempt to seek medical care. While en route to obtain medical aid, he pulled into the plaza parking lot at the Walden Avenue and Galleria Drive, where the female contacted the police requesting medical assistance. The police chief, Michael Silowinski, told WKBW New in Buffalo, New York. When officers arrived at the parking lot, they placed a tourniquet on the woman's leg shortly after she was transported to Erie County Medical Center in Buffalo. Her injuries are not considered to be life-threatening. After his girlfriend was transported to the medical center, he was charged with reckless endangerment and criminal possession of a weapon. This was police presence, still at the Texas de Brazil just a few minutes ago, wrote a Twitter user, Erica Breacher, news anchor for WIVB TV in upstate New York, describing a picture she posted, crime scene tapes surrounding the entrance, the CSI truck packing up to leave. According to WKBW News spokesperson for Walden Galleria, where the Texas de Brazil is located, it stated that the safety of the public is the main concern, as it had been working collaboratively with the Cheektowaga police regarding the incident. A similar incident had occurred in Oak Harbor, Washington, just about 2 months ago while eating dinner at a restaurant in January. An 80-year-old woman who accidentally was shot by a 57-year-old man. According to HeraldNet.com, Oak Harbor Police Chief Kevin Dresker stated that the 57-year-old woman who had a concealed license permit removed his .40 caliber handgun and placed it on his chair, covering it with a napkin while he momentarily stood up. The man was placing the gun back in his holster when it fired, striking a woman at a nearby table. Bullet went through her shoulder and exited through her chest area. She was airlifted to Harbor View Medical Center in Seattle. The man who accidentally shot the gun was arrested on suspicion of assault in the second degree, reckless endangerment, and unlawful discharge of a firearm. And one more oopsie. A Pennsylvania state trooper is expected to recover after he was shot by a handcuffed suspect during a DUI traffic stop. Robert William Ransom was stopped by troopers in a Lincoln Way East near Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. In the early hours of Saturday morning, Pennsylvania State Police said in a news release, troopers suspected Ransom was driving under the influence after they observed traffic violations shortly after 2 a.m. An altercation occurred between Ransom and two state troopers as they were conducting a field sobriety test. As the troopers attempted to place Ransom into custody, he pulled out a handgun and shot one of the troopers, Pennsylvania police said. Penn Live reported that Ransom allegedly opened fire and wounded traffic officer trooper Jason Brindle despite being handcuffed at the time. There was a statement that Trooper Michael Garbeck was working in a patrol shift in the early hours of the morning with Brindle when they spotted the Nissan Altima speeding west along Lincoln Way East. Garbeck told investors that after stopping the Ransom vehicle, he and Brindle had smelled marijuana, and they asked him to get out of the car. Brindle had patted down Ransom and did not find any weapons. As the troopers were attempting to arrest Ransom, he said the suspect began to resist, and the troopers pushed him against the hood of their car. All three ended up on the ground, and Garbeck pulled Ransom's arms out from under him and placed him in handcuffs. Ransom continued to resist, and he heard the gunshot and saw Ransom still handcuffed, holding a silver gun in his hands. He then grabbed the gun and threw it before tackling Ransom to the ground. Other troopers arrived at the scene and found that Brindle had been shot in the pelvic area. Ransom was taken into custody without any injuries. The trooper was flown to a nearby hospital in stable condition. Trooper Megan Emmerman confirmed to Newsweek that the wounded trooper had since been released from a hospital and is expected to make a full recovery. But being shot in the crotch sounds wholly unpleasant to me. Ransom was booked into Franklin County Jail, and he's been denied bail. I think when you shoot a cop in the crotch, it'd be pretty hard to get an easy sentence after that. It's a big no-no, and pretty awful in general. He's facing numerous charges in connection with the incident on Saturday, including attempted murder of a law enforcement officer, and aggravated assault, according to an online court record. And beyond that, he's also charged with carrying a firearm without a license and driving under the influence. That is quite the stack up. It's quite the stack up. Not ideal. That is a lot of stories this week. That's a lot of stories of people misusing their firearms and, quite frankly, being stupid with them. Why everyone in these stories needed to have a weapon on them, especially at dinners, I'll never understand. Don't be an idiot. Is the moral of the story here? Who knows? Definitely don't shoot cops. I mean, right? Anyway, when we come back from our break, Take a hard turn away from that. We're going to talk about a very polite criminal, actually. Kind of a nice man. When we return from the break.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back. When we left off, we were talking about some big ol' oopsies with weapons. And now, Oklahoma City, an Oklahoma family said they were sleeping when a man who claimed he was running from the police snuck into their living room in the middle of the night. Donald Webb told them that he had led officers on a chase before they found him hiding in a ditch near 122nd and Suter Road, according to the police. Before Webb was arrested, a homeowner called 911 saying Webb broke into his home while his 3 kids and wife were upstairs. And the father of 3 heard footsteps downstairs, flipped on the lights, and allegedly saw Donald Webb inside the home standing frozen in the living room. Investigators said they were not involved in a high-speed chase with Webb and that it could have been an excuse when he was busted by the homeowner. Officers were looking for him on the ground and by helicopter. Webb had been out of prison on multiple past burglary convictions. On Tuesday, the homeowner described Webb as a tall man wearing jeans and a Western-style belt. Apparently he was a criminal in a Clint Eastwood film. Police report says that Webb gave the man a handshake and assured him that nothing was taken before hurrying out the door. And this wasn't the only polite gesture. Police say that Webb also made sure to close the window that he came through. Polite guy, really. Homeowner told K4 that since it was a nice weekend, it had some of the windows unlocked. Webb didn't get very far in Oklahoma City. Police officer brought in a canine unit. Found Webb crouched down in a ditch, covered in scratches and sweat. Webb was taken to Oklahoma County Jail on first-degree burglary complaint. His bond is set at $100,000. So, I mean, polite criminal or very dumb? Let's talk about some other dumb criminals. An armed robber, Andrew Hennels, was caught after he boasted on Facebook about his plans to raid a supermarket in a post which included a selfie, picture of a knife, and wrote the words, "Doing Tesco over." Police caught him 15 minutes later with the knife and 410 pounds in cash stolen from Tesco, Kingsland, Norfolk. He was jailed for 4 years last April. It's from the BBC. A man suspected of arson and vandalism sent a selfie to police in Ohio in the U.S. because he found a photo on his arrest warrant be unflattering. Donald Chip texted police the photo of himself and wrote, "Here's a better photo. That one's just terrible," he told local radio station. "Man, they just did me wrong. But a picture of me that made me look like I was a Thundercat." James Brown on the run, "I can't do that." Lima Police Department responded by saying, "We thank him for being helpful. Now we'd appreciate if he would come speak to us." He was then arrested in Florida. James Blankenship thought he'd planned the perfect crime in an effort to shame the dazzling feats of thievery seen in films like Ocean's 11 or The Sting. Blankenship plotted to rob the last place anyone would ever suspect, his own mother's home. And he would do it in broad daylight by ensuring that he could never be prosecuted. As Blankenship was aware, burglary is only burglary if it happens at night. If it happens during the day, well, then it's not burglary. Therefore, it's not illegal. It's almost too easy. You'd be surprised to hear that when he tried to break in, Blankenship's mother chased him away, since he was not allowed on the premises. A neighbor called the police, and Blankenship was found hiding nearby. He was arrested despite his letting authorities know that he was pretty sure burglaries could only be committed at night, so since it was day, he hadn't done anything wrong. Simpson fans will remember the beginning of the classic Lisa the Skeptic episode, in which Homer and a few other Springfield criminals fall for a police sting involving free motorboats. In 2011, Derbyshire police used similar strategy by offering wanted criminals free beer. The men received notices from undercover officers informing them that they'd won a crate of beer each. To collect, they needed to contact the company that ran the promotion. Many were tempted by the prospect. 19 fugitives called the assigned number, setting up a time to place to collect their winnings. Tragically, there was no free beer. They turned up, just police officers ready to take them into custody. So sad, so sad, so sad. A couple of hapless burglars broke into a mobile phone app and left with just several dummy phones. So sad. The burglary, which took place in a Verizon store in Ohio, USA, obviously, saw the shop windows smashed by rocks. However, the bungling thieves only took off with dummy mobile phones, which are of no value to consumers, as the real phones are always locked away in a safe. It's true, some burglars may not be the sharpest tools in the shed. However, a burglar doesn't have to be a Nobel laureate to do a lot of damage. Often we see that security is a reactive field, something bad that happens. And we want to prevent things from happening again. So you should be taking proactive steps, to protect your family, your home, your business, property, and yourselves. So while burglars may be dumb, they're not stupid. So take care of yourselves. Find the right solutions to you. And remember, crimes can happen in the day. Fun fact that you may not have known about before. We all thought it's not a crime if you commit it at night, but it turns out, no, we've been proved wrong by today's lessons. So, stay vigilant. Stay vigilant like Batman. Alright, that's the end of the Dumb Criminal segment. Seem to be doing these a lot lately. There's a lot of dumb criminals out there. And when we return, huge industry in the United States. We're going to talk about it. Huge industry. Great for the economy. And this is drunk shopping. Yes, we're going to talk about that when we come back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC, Invicta FC, Bellator, and One Championship. We got the fights covered. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
Welcome back. When we left off, we were talking about some dumb criminals. Love it, love it. People have done some really stupid things in the past. But hey, here we are. We're doing good in the world, kids. And now, according to Finder's latest drunk shopping survey, almost a quarter of American consumers shop while intoxicated, which is good news for retailers like Nordstrom, who have in-store bars. While the percentage of Americans who admit to shopping under the influence decreased slightly in the past year to 22.9% compared with 26.4% in 2019. The average spending on drunk purchases has increased from $674.96 to $768.58. In total, Americans spent $44.9 billion on drunk purchases in the last year. Millennials and Gen X are consuming the highest number of alcoholic beverages per week, with the average number of 8.85 drinks per week. In total, 69.7% of Americans drink at least one alcoholic beverage a week. The younger generation's doing it because their hangovers aren't as bad. It's my humble opinion. While food and alcohol purchases are the most common drunk purchases, shoes, clothes, and accessories total 36.9% of drunk purchases. Notably, men account for over half of drunk purchases in the shoes, clothes, and accessories category, 45.4% compared to 20.2% of women. It's almost like women are less impulsive and think more than men. When looking at the total dollar amount spent on drunk purchases, car-related purchases ranked highest on an average of $731.32. Vacations a close second on an average of $705.71. Shoes, clothes, and accessories saw an average of $148, constant with findings in 2019. Millennials proved to be the generation most prone to drunk shopping. 42.1% of respondents admitting to drunk shopping. Gen Z followed closely at 35.4%. Is Gen Z old enough to drink? I guess they are. Millennials also had the highest. How old are Gen Zs? Gen Z started in 95, right? Okay, yeah, they're well old enough. Millennials also had the highest average to spend on drunk purchases at $879. Followed by Gen X with $797, an average spend, and Gen Z with $650 as an average spend. Regionally, drunk shopping was fairly consistent in the last year. Highest percentage of drunk shoppers in the Northeast, average spend of $1,195 Broken down further by state, data showed that Washington had the highest spend at $2,199, followed by Massachusetts and New York. The state spends at the least drunk shopping was North Dakota with just under $100. Very modest in North Dakota. Well done, North Dakota. So here are some of the dumbest purchases that people have admitted to doing online when drunk. The first one, DNA test from a dog. Gotta love drunk purchases. 2 days after, a margarita bucket, a pet tutu was delivered to my door. Hopefully they didn't have a pet. Earlier, the day before I started drinking, I watched a heartbreaking snippet on Facebook about a dying polar bear. Broke my heart. Later that night, we were out for my girlfriend's birthday, and I had too much tequila. The next morning, she woke up and told me she had a weird email from the World Wildlife Fund. A weird transaction in my bank account from the World Wildlife Fund. I got drunk and adopted a polar bear. The gift message read, "Surprise, bitch, here's a polar bear." Apparently it was Jesse from Breaking Bad. I bought a 12-month Club Penguin membership and some Coachella tickets. So that was obviously a millennial. Club Penguin membership. Remember that? Club Penguin, baby. And Coachella. That's the most millennial thing I've ever heard. Decided to go clubbing at 2 a.m. in Edinburgh. Things escalated pretty quickly and I ended up in Paris. Those cities are far from each other, you guys. That is fascinating. Although I did once personally have one too many in Dublin and then flew into London and went to Harry Potter World. So there you go. I don't think I'll ever shake off the regret I felt in waking up with a raging hangover, checking my emails and realized I'd bought almost every portable mini disc recorder I could find on eBay. Clearly drunk me gets nostalgic for useless gadgets. I bought a life-size cardboard cutout of the Pope, 10 ounces of glitter, and 50 bow ties. One can only assume that they were having a Pope-themed RuPaul party, right? That's clearly what those things are for. Bought a mini donkey piñata for $12. Accidentally wandered into an Urban Outfitters after drinking at a bar while MTV was filming an episode of The Real World Seattle. Guess I was feeling celebratory. I was drunk and I bought a wholesale box of 100 party wings from an eBay seller in Hong Kong. I knew I'd bought something because the money I'd left in my account, but I couldn't remember what I'd done until a month later and it arrived. Cheap party wigs. Oh, wigs, sorry. In a variety of colors. It could come in use for the next drunk purchases. Once ordered a yodeling pickle. Forgot until it showed up at the door. Luckily, I was able to regift it to my nephew. What a useless gift. Bought a 1980s California Raisins PVC Burger King toy. I don't know why. I woke up after a night out in Manchester and realized myself and two friends had a megabus ticket to Birmingham and an entry to Cadbury World. Someone was craving chocolate too much. Drunk at Heathrow Airport, I went to the Harry Potter merchandise store and bought Voldemort's wand. Tried to put spells on people. I admire that one. I was drunk on rum and took a 20-minute drunk nap and dreamed I was a pirate. Woke up for a bit, went back to bed. 2 days later, a flask appears at my door. Apparently, I was inspired by my pirate dream. After a festive Friday night, we woke up and discovered that we'd ordered a giant bouncing castle. We lived on the 4th floor. It was $3,000. Life-size cutout of John Cena. My roommates and I put him at the bottom of the staircase to keep guard. I got drunk and bought a fish pond with fish from somewhere not even close to my house. It was only pickup. There you go. When we come back, we're going to talk about an ironic crime from New York law. NYU law. Let me go back.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
All right, welcome back. We were talking about drunk purchases before. Y'all have bought some stupid things. Stupid things. And now, the New York University School of Law thought it had a problem when one of its academic and educational videos posted on YouTube, in 2 versions, exploring the nature of the finer details of the U.S. copyright law, got flagged for copyright infringement. That's right, baby. But then, this leading educational institution had an even greater hurdle to overcome to try and explain how and why the turn of events was even possible, what it means to come to fair use rules, interpretations, and applications, and how and if anyone can really fight false copyright notices in these days. The report posted on NYU law website Engelberg Center now looks at 2 points: how fair use still suffers online and what it takes to push back when a video is flagged. The fatal mistake the NYU law made as far as the longevity of their videos on YouTube is concerned with the short clips of 2 songs as part of content recorded during the law school conference debate. These audio clips were to illustrate how fair use may be established in court, according to the substantial similarity requirement. The thing is that, which when present make the legal difference between legal and illegal use of copyrighted music or any other content. The music industry reared its head on YouTube pretty quick, and using YouTube's content ID system struck the videos down with takedown notices. Short audio files used in it merely to show how copyright infringement works infringed copyright, the industry ruled. Given the context in which the audio was used, we were pretty confident that our use of the songs was covered by fair use and disputed claims using YouTube's internal system, the NYU law writes. Welcome to YouTube, NYU law, and indeed welcome to the internet. The copyright holder ignored the school's counter notice arguments, and then, while considering how to proceed, the school discovered YouTube's 3-strike rule. One misstep could wipe NYU law's entire YouTube presence off the internet. We reached out to YouTube through private channels to try and get clarity on the copyright strike rules. While we never got the clarity, some weeks later, we were informed that the claims against our video had been removed. In other words, YouTube didn't even dignify NYU law with an answer. The problem just got solved. Not even private channels, the high public, even industry profile of the channel and institution could elicit a semblance of transparency, only human reaction from YouTube. NYU law admits as much. Their experience is described as highlighting how challenging it can be for users with strong counterarguments to dispute an allegation of infringement by large rights holders. Then there's the issue of imperfect automated content filters that do away with human review, only to end up making unchallengeable errors. What a beautiful little story of irony. You know? I love an ironic crime. I like to talk about them a lot on these things. So let's get into it. Some of the most ironic crimes to ever happen. So here's one. A drunk man wearing a drunk t-shirt. His crime was driving under the influence. Ross McMecken, 21 years old, was arrested in Oregon in early April after he drove his car into a sidewalk, hit a parked car, and attempted to strangle his girlfriend when she tried to take the keys from him, all while wearing a shirt donating the words, "Drunk as blank." Whoops. A murder suspect rocked a murder tattoo. How do you convince a jury that you're innocent of murder when you're looking at the word murder across your neck? Jeffrey Chapman, a man accused of a 2011 murder of Damon Gallert, was wearing a murder tattoo on his neck. He's working with his lawyer to get the tattoo removed or permission to cover it up to avoid jury prejudice, he says. Rule number 1, gun safety. All guns are always loaded, right? But instructor Terry G. Dunlap Sr., 73 years old, a gun safety officer, forgot in August that while he was teaching a gun course in Ohio, and during the demonstration, he released a bullet from his handgun, which hit a desk and ricocheted into student Michael Pimentel's right arm. Pimentel is okay, but Dunlap probably died of embarrassment. The guy named Cocaine got arrested for drugs. His name is Edward Cocaine. I mean, it's actually just doing his family job there, isn't he? You know? Right after AMC's hit show Breaking Bad, a Montega guy named Walter White was arrested for distributing meth. He got the idea, I guess. In September 2013, Iowa City Police arrested 25-year-old Connor P. Fudge for taking cakes and containers of ice cream, about $500 worth, from Cold Stone. That sounds like an ad for it, really. A woman named Crispy used bacon to burn down a house. Cameo Crispy set fire to her ex-boyfriend's house. Was charged with arson, burglary, and assault. From burning bacon on purpose to burn down the house. A Michigan woman who decided it'd be a great idea to dress up as a victim of domestic violence for Halloween, great costume, heavy sarcasm, was actually arrested for domestic violence. She repeatedly hit her boyfriend with her purse during a holiday pub crawl and was accused of domestic violence. In February, John R. Morles, the former McGruff, the crime dog actor, was sentenced to 16 years in prison after police seized 1,000 marijuana plants, 27 weapons, including a grenade launcher and 9,000 rounds of ammunition. The crime-fighting dog was arrested for crime. Isn't it ironic? That's what ironic is, Alanis Morissette. Obviously you didn't know. When we come back from our break, as you can guess, we're going to talk shower thoughts when we come back from the break.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about ironic crimes. Good stuff, good stuff. And now we're going to do some shower thoughts, the best shower thoughts from the week. So here we go. Despite the many different time zones, only the hour differs, not the minute. The 59th minute of every hour, there are probably millions of people around the world running late for something. It's a beautiful thing that ties us all together. You'll be the VIP attending your funeral. Hey, there you go. We can all be a VIP one day. One day porn sites will let people filter by century and decade, allowing you to check history that way. So many people will die having never touched a pigeon. I don't think that that's a sad thing. If everybody stopped paying taxes, there wouldn't be a prison for them to go to, since prisons are funded by taxes. Yeah, we'd also be living in the purge. During Prohibition, bartenders probably wouldn't care about underage drinking, since everybody at the bar was already drinking illegally. If one day we cure aging and all diseases, we will all die horrible deaths. Ooh, that's a thought. Most laws were created because someone decided to be an a-hole one day. Yeah, that's true. An average 18-year-old is 18.5 years old. Hilarious stuff. We used to wash fruits and vegetables to remove any crap left by animals or insects. Now we wash them to remove all the crap left on them by humans. Oh, sad, but true. Whoever put two L's in parallel was a genius. That is true. Every Mozart and Beethoven tune you've ever heard is a cover version. I mean, yeah. Women see more blood than men. Yeah, baby. In person, at least. The increasing number of warning labels on products is directly proportional to the increasing number of idiots on our planet. Each emotion, if strong enough, leads to tears. That's true. I cry and I laugh until I cry all the time. So if I'm around you and I'm laughing till I'm crying, don't feel that funny. I just do that. Barbers are actually cutting down on their own source of income. Yeah, hair grows back though. There have been movies with zombies that run and others with those that walk, but never in one where they can move exactly like normal humans. Yeah, that's true. That is very true. Your dinosaur game high score probably reflects how bad your internet connection is. I don't get that one. The lyrics to Old MacDonald, past tense, he's dead. Oh no. Whoa, there you go. That's a shower thought, isn't it? Since no one can predict the future, technically every day is the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. It's impossible to tell if you're really remembering something from the first years of your life or if it's a memory that you created growing up. It's a picture you saw or a story you heard. That's so true. There are things that, like, I think I remember, but maybe I was just told them by my parents. Pretty soon, there won't be anybody left on the earth who's walked on the moon. Well, do it again? Good me. A $1 bill was probably touched by someone who didn't wash their hands after wiping. Oh, no, I hate that. Oh, I don't want to hear about that. Google Chrome shows a tiny T-Rex because it can't reach the web page because of its tiny little arms. Google Chrome burn. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's wife rocks Dwayne's Johnson. Gross. If you throw a rock in the ocean, you're the last person to ever touch that rock. The rock will sit at the bottom of the ocean till the sun turns to a red giant that engulfs the earth. That's pretty cool. Anybody else want to go throw stones in the ocean? I do. In 60 years' time, there's going to be a whole wave of elderly influencers endorsing products like adult diapers in retirement homes. I mean, God, I hope not. At the beginning of every hour, millions of people around the world have their birthday due to time zones. That's fun. Calling someone a butt licker used to be an insult, but now it's not. Thanks, millennials. Oh, rotten eggs smell bad because they're basically corpses. Not quite, because they're not. I mean, this is a whole nother argument I don't need to get into and probably won't. Advertisements shouldn't be allowed to have sirens or use phrases like "Okay Google" and "Hey Siri." I agree with that. I think I just turned on both of those things. Snorting a line of coke from a butthole could also be considered crack cocaine. Fortune cookies taste exactly the same as ice cream cones, and no one ever talks about it. So many conversations go dead the second the lights go down at a concert. The world speaks different languages. It's very cool that the photography and laughter are universally understood. 90% of people who didn't read this don't know what's wrong with this sentence. Oh, there's a lot of grammatical and punctual errors. So, there's that. You can't spell manslaughter without man's laughter. Oh my God. It's ironic that the Xbox logo is an X in a circle. It's true. It should definitely be a square. If social media had a function to sort posts by since you were last on here, you could review the discussion as you left off rather than watching it in reverse, sorting by new. If there are parallel universes, there must be perpendicular universes too. Yeah, what does that mean? Somebody out there really does make the world's best coffee. I wonder who it is. If you headed east and continued forever, you would always be heading east. If you headed west and continued forever, you would always be heading west. But if you went north or south and continued forever, you keep switching between north and south. Oh, good point. You know something just went down when the credits roll, but there's no music. Deep, deep, deep. And on that, we have reached the end of the show. That's it. We're done now. So thank you for that. Thank you for listening to the Weird News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Please remember to subscribe and write a nice review and rate the episode. It really helps us. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Of course, that also really helps us. And thank you again for listening. You guys have yourselves a great night. Talk to you soon.